Hello students, in this video we will begin the lesson Thinkers, Beliefs and Buildings and cover units 1 to 4. We will look at the rise of new ideas, major thinkers and the beginnings of religious traditions in ancient India. Let us start. A glimpse of Sanchi. Interest of Europeans in Sanchi. Why were these Europeans fascinated on Sanchi? 19th century, Europeans were very interested in the stupa at Sanchi. What is the stupa? A dome-shaped structure built to house Buddhist relics. It's a holy object related to Buddha. French and English interest. The French wanted Shah Jahan Begum's permission to take the eastern gateway, that was best preserved part of the stupa, to France. Englishmen also had the same interest for some time. The outcome? Both French and English were satisfied with plaster cast copies instead. What is this plaster cast copies? A replica made using plaster of the original object. As a result, the original stupa remained at Sanchi. Role of Bhopal rulers in preservation. Shah Jahan Begum and Sultan Jahan Begum. They were the rulers of Bhopal. They provided funds to preserve the Sanchi site. And they entrusted this work to an archaeologist called as John Marshall, who wrote important volumes on Sanchi. He dedicated these works to Sultan Jahan Begum, who funded the museum at Sanchi and also the guest house where he stayed and worked, and the publication of his research. What was the impact? The stupa complex survived due to wise decisions and good luck. It escaped the attention of railway contractors, builders and collectors who wanted artifacts for European museums. Now, importance of Sanchi. Key Buddhist center. Sanchi is one of the most important sites for early Buddhism. Its discovery transformed our understanding of early Buddhist practices, art, and architecture. The Archaeological Survey of India has successfully restored and preserved Sanchi. Questions about the stupa? Why is so much of importance on the stupa? There were many questions arised. So the few questions are listed here. Why was the stupa built? What did it contain? Why is there a stone railing around it? Who built or funded the construction? When was it discovered? So, how did they find answers to all this? To understand Sanchi fully, we need to combine text. Text means written record or inscriptions. Sculpture, that is stone carving and statues. Architecture, design and structure of buildings. Inscriptions, writing carved on stone. By studying all these, we can cover the fascinating story of Sanchi. Now, we will move on to the next unit, the background, that is sacrifices and debates. A turning point in world history. The mid-first millennium BCE, that is around 600 BCE, was an important period in world history. Why? This is the time many great thinkers appeared in different regions, that is Zarathustra in Iran, Kongzi in China, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle from Greece, Mahavira and Gautama Buddha from India. These thinkers tried to understand the mysteries of existence, the relationship between humans and the cosmic order. During this time, new kingdoms and cities developed. Social and economic life changed in the Ganga Valley. Thinkers also tried to explain these changes. Now we are moving on to the 2.1, the topic, the sacrificial traditions. Early religious traditions. Before these new ideas, there were old traditions like the Vedic tradition, known from the Rig Veda. What is Rig Veda? A collection of songs or prayers praising God. Important deities praised, that is Agni. He was a fire god. Indra, he was a warrior or thunder god. Soma, it is a a sacred ritual drink, or a deity. And these songs were recited during sacrifices. People prayed for more cattle, sons, health, long life. Now, change in sacrificial practices. Initially, sacrifices were performed collectively. Later, that is 1000 to 500 BCE, done by household heads for family welfare. More elaborate sacrifices performed by kings. One such sacrifices were called as Rajasuya and the Ashwamedha. What is this Rajasuya? It was an important Vedic sacrifice performed by kings. And Ashwamedha, horse sacrifice showing political power. Kings depended on Brahmana priests to perform rituals. Now, moving on to the next topic, new questions. According, not according, around the 6th century BCE, new ideas appeared in the Upanishads. People became curious about meaning of life, life after death, rebirth, whether rebirth was caused by past actions. These questions were debated intensely. Thinkers tried to understand ultimate reality. Ultimate reality means the highest truth or true nature of existence. Some thinkers outside the Vedic tradition even questioned whether such a single reality existed at all. People also started thinking critically about sacrifices. Moving on to the next topic, 2.3, debates and discussions. Growth of philosophical debates. Buddhist texts mention 64 sects. What do you mean by sect? Religious or philosophical groups. Teachers traveled widely to spread their ideas. They tried to convince other teachers, ordinary people. Debates happened in a hut with pointed roof, groups where mendicants stayed. What is mendicants? Who are these mendicants? Wandering monks who live on alms. If one philosopher convinced another, followers also changed sides. Thus, sect support grew or declined over time. Now, challenge to Vedic authority. Teachers like Mahavira and Buddha questioned the authority of the Vedas. They emphasized individual agency. Agency means personal ability to act and make choices. They taught that anyone could strive for liberation. Liberation, freedom from worldly suffering and rebirth. This contrasted with the Brahminical view. Life determined by birth, caste, and gender. Social position seen as fixed. Now, moving on to Unit 3, beyond worldly pleasures. Message of Mahavira. Origin of Jain philosophy. The basic ideas of Jainism existed in North India even before Mahavira. Vardhamana, he was also called as Mahavira, lived in the 6th century BCE and became its major teacher. According to tradition, he was preceded by 23 Tirthankaras. What is the Tirthankaras? Who were they? They were the spiritual teachers guiding people across the river of existence, that is, worldly life and sufferings. Belief in living world. Jain philosophy states that the entire world is animated. Animated meaning filled with life or soul. Even stones, rocks, and water are believed to possess life. Principle of ahimsa. We all know that ahimsa means non-violence. That was the central idea. And they also said avoid harming humans, animals, plants, insects. This principle influenced Indian thought widely. Karma and liberation. Life is a cycle of birth and rebirth shaped by karma. And we all know what is karma, actions that determine future births. To escape this cycle, practice asceticism. What is this asceticism? A strict self-discipline and simple living. Perform penance. You all know the meaning of penance. Penance is an act of self-denial for spiritual purification. Liberation requires renouncing the world, that is, giving up worldly attachment and living a monastic life, like life of monks or nun. Now, five promises of Jain monks and nuns. What were they? Abstain from killing, stealing, lying, observe celibacy. Celibacy meaning no marriage or sexual life, non possession of property. Moving on to the next topic, spread of Jainism. Expansion and literature. Jainism spread gradually across India. Scholars wrote literature in Prakrit, Sanskrit, and Tamil. Manuscripts, that is, handwritten text, preserved in temple libraries. Artistic contribution. Early stone sculptures created by Jaina devotees, sculptures of Tirthankaras found across the subcontinent show the religious and artistic influence of Jainism. Moving on to the next unit 4, Life of the Buddha. Sources of reconstructing Buddha's life. Historians reconstructed Buddha's life by editing and analyzing Buddhist texts, translated them carefully. They also used hagiographies. What are these? They are the biographies describing the lives of saints in a glorified way. Many of these texts were written a century later to preserve memories of Buddha. Hence, details are based on interpretation of sources. Early life of Siddhartha. Buddha's birth name was Siddhartha. He belonged to the Sakya clan. He was the son of a chief. He had a sheltered upbringing, raised in luxury inside the palace, protected from life's hardship. When I say sheltered upbringing, that means protected life without exposure to reality. The four sights and realization. Siddhartha traveled outside the palace with his charioteer. He saw an old man, a sick man, a corpse. He understood decay and death are inevitable. He also saw a mendicant, a wandering monk living peacefully. This inspired him to seek truth about life and suffering. He decided to leave palace life. Quest for truth. Siddhartha tried many spiritual paths, practiced bodily mortification, meaning extreme physical suffering. This almost caused his death. He abandoned extreme practices, meditated deeply for several days, finally attained enlightenment. That means spiritual awakening or understanding ultimate truth. After this, he became known as Buddha, the enlightened one. Teaching the Dhamma. Buddha spent the rest of his life teaching Dhamma, that is, righteous way of living. Dhamma, moral and ethical path to end suffering. His teachings guided people towards spiritual peace. That is the end of this video, and I'm giving you as usual, I'm giving you the 8 marks board based question. Please revise the whole video and practice writing this answers for this 8-mark questions. With this, we have completed unit 1 to 4 of the lesson. We will continue with the remaining units in the next video. Thank you.